behind. They're all fired up. What we got to do? First place, our defense has got to go out there and take the ball. Then when we get the ball, we got to have 11 people that's going to do their job and try to score every time you get the football. If we do that, we'll be all right. Do that, we'll be all right.
Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Football University with me, Matt Caddell, where we talk anything and everything football related, and we find a way, yes, to bring it back to the University of Alabama. And do we have a lot to talk about? RTR and all the Bama Nations, Lori Caddell, get in the student section, hit that like, subscribe button. We're on the CTS-Sports room page, so we know how to do it. Shouts out to Stephen Hicks making things happen. Roll Tide, roll Bama Nation. Yeah, the Kalen DeBoer is there. Let's talk about it. So, yes, we're going to bring some few more people in before we jump right into it. Matter of fact, we're just going to jump right into it because Stephen Hicks wants us to do it. So, you know, we did the show, the recap show last week of the recap, and it's like the next day or that Wednesday, Coach Saban announced his retirement. The GOAT, the legend, one of the greatest coaches of all time announced his retirement, which was a shocker to everybody. I was on a conference call and they were talking about it on the call. So, yeah, I mean, the GOAT retired. You know, he mentioned that, mentioned that he was here. You know, it felt like it was the best time for him because he couldn't promise players, give them exact time range regarding, you know, how long he's going to, you know, coach or retire or stay coach, or are they going to stay committed? And, you know, I felt like, you know, it was probably what's best for him and Miss Terry as they, you know, get older and, you know, they want to go out. I mean, he was able to get back to the college football playoff. So, you know, I just want to say, you know, it probably was time for Coach Saban, but we got to give him his kudos, his flowers. Coach Saban was the GOAT. He did it all. So I got a lot of stories to tell, but let's get in the student section. Y'all are going in. So let's go right here. So with Coach Saban retiring, you know, Greg Byrne was wheeling and dealing, going and behind the scenes working on some coaches. And let me tell you the firestorm that happened, and we'll go back to the Coach Saban. So on social media, we know how social media is, especially Twitter X. Everybody, Rumorville was going crazy. It was going nuts. You were hearing Kiffin was trolling. You were hearing Sark. You were hearing Mike Norvell. You were hearing Danny Lanning, the Oregon coach. And all these rumors were just going. And, you know, one thing I will say, that Greg Byrne had his guy from the jump in DeBoer. And, you know, we were able to hire DeBoer. But I got to shout this man out, Jimmy Sexton, the agent for a lot of these college coaches. You know, he represented Coach Saban, Coach DeBoer hired him. A lot of these guys, he was able to finesse this news to get these coaches extensions. Like Mike Norvell got a $10 million a year contract. He got a raise. Sark got a raise. So I'm quite sure Kiffin got a raise or whatnot. So, I understand it, but, it is what it is. But all in all, Saban, not Saban, but Greg Byrne got his guy, Washington coach Kalen DeBoer, who he started coming on my radar, I guess the past 2 months, just looking at how he grinded it up, going from like D2, D3, winning at all levels, playing at Sioux Falls, being 2 years at Washington, 2 years ago, Washington was 4-8. And this year, year two, he's got him in the national championship game, with usually being the most less talented team. He's Pac-12 coach of the year, all that good stuff. So I think it was a really good hire. I think it fits what he's going to do at Alabama. And I think, he knows how to handle NIL, all these things going on, transfer portal. I know offensively we're going to be that much dominant, and I'm quite sure he's leaning on Coach Saban for some guidance on the defensive end. But good thing he was able to do, he was able to bring in his quarterbacks coach, OC Ryan Grubb, who, I'm going to go back to Coach Saban, who I think is one of the OCs we wanted that when Bill O'Brien left, bringing Jamarcus Shepard, probably the top wide receivers coach in the nation, from Washington, bringing their O-line coach, who's the Joe Moore Award winning offensive line. And he retained Robert Gillespie, retained Freddie Roach. So it's very interesting. We're going to get on this DC hire, transfer portal. We're going to discuss all these things. But my thoughts, DeBoer, I think he's a good hire, a really good hire that's going to really, keep the things rolling here. But I know everybody thinks it's unstable right now just because transfer portal, Coach Saban, he had named a DC hire. Coach DeBoer, I think it's important you make the right hire and not a quick hire. At the end of the day, you need to make what's best for this team long term, and I think he will do that. So let's get to the student section. So talking about DeBoer there, I'm excited, just like Stephen Hicks. He is a winner. Shouts out to Tracy McDuffie. She said, ready to hear your thoughts on the future of Bama. It is what it is right now. It's just an iffy situation. I do think we're in really great hands with DeBoer, especially offensively, but I think I'm glad he's just not making such a quick hire on the defensive end because, listen, there's going to be a lot of changeover. You're hearing rumors that maybe Harbaugh interviewed for the Chargers game today. I mean, the Chargers head coaching position today. It's going to be a lot of changeover this offseason. So I think it's important that he makes the right hire, the smart hire. I know he's quite juggling a lot right now, and he's in the lab. But I think all this is going to play off in the end. So I think the future of Bama is bright. With the whole transfer portal era and NIL, we lost Isaiah Bond in Texas. We had some other players getting the portal. I think Des Ricks made it official. We had Sean Murphy. A lot of those guys went to Florida State. How funny is that? Florida State didn't stand Alabama, but now they want all our players, which is interesting. But yeah, so I think the future of Alabama is bright. I'm the one that always is always, when things seem to be going, it's Alabama's been riding high for the past 17 years. So this is a little bit unfamiliar territory for Bama fans. I know some people are stressing out, being anxious, and listen, take a deep breath. Everything will work itself out in the end. So I think Alabama is in the right hands moving forward. And you still have Coach Saban in the program. He's probably going to have more of a, as my good friend Lushawn worded it, he's probably going to be like a Pat Riley type of advisor. DeBoer's the head coach, but he's always has Coach Saban to kind of mold him and give him advice, give him people he can contact or things like that. So I think Saban can kind of be in like a GM or VP of operations role. I know he's going to help out with NIL and stuff. So I think it's a win-win. Coach Saban's still going to be a part of the program. We got a coach. I think it's going to be great. So let's see. Thoughts on DeBoer? Listen, I think he's a really good coach coming from Washington. I mean, this guy's a proven. There's not that many coaches that come from NAIA and be successful, and he's one of the two that have actually done it. I know a lot of teams have really looked into that NAIA level and really went out there, coaches that are really good, and it pays off on the D1 level, and he's one of those coaches. I mean, to be year 2, be in the national championship game, have a Heisman Trophy winner. I mean, the guys we were supposedly going after, Danny Lanning, Steve Sarkisian, he's undefeated against those guys with lesser talent. So just imagine once he gets his staff together on the defensive end, he's got the talent. He's going to be able to bring players from Washington. Hopefully he's able to retain a lot of talent here in Alabama and build the team. I think it's going to be great things, but I really do like the DeBoer hire. I was tweeting about him earlier that day before they made the hire. I was just doing a lot more research into his background, into what he stands for, what type of coach he is, what type of player he was. I think DeBoer is a great hire for the University of Alabama, and I think he's probably the best hire for us. I'll say this: I would rather for us to have him on our side than us having to coach against him at another school in the SEC, because I mean, he's got the OC, he's got the receivers coach that we wanted, and I'm quite sure when Coach Saban was looking for coordinators and assistant coaches, all roads kept leading to Washington. So and DeBoer. So I'm excited about that. So let's stay in the student section. Shouts out to Stephen Hicks. He says DeBoer's a winner and he learns the Bama standard. We'll be back on top. Yeah, I think he is. I think he knows how to handle adversity or things like that. Now he's getting a whirlwind of things happening right now that he's got to manage. But he's got to take it one day. He's got to interview coaches. He's got to retain players on the staff. He's got to retain players in the locker room, in the portal, do all those things. So it's going to be a lot. This is a long off season, but we're going to discuss the transfer portal. We're going to discuss NIL. What are we really doing for college football, for the student athlete? Are we really helping them? Are we hindering them? Are we, making a little bit more entitled young people in the future? So but yeah, I like DeBoer. Shouts out to Stephen Hicks. Hey Matt, do you think the defense will fall off some? I don't know. I think it depends on the hire. Shouts out to Icebox. Great question. I do think it depends on the hire and the development and the retainment of talent on the team. I think those are the two biggest factors. Now, I will say this. I know a lot of people are talking about T-Rob and the T-Rob hire possibility, him probably wanting to be the DC at Alabama and all this stuff. And, I did hear some rumblings regarding T-Rob after that team meeting. It was like the next day he was, co-DC safeties coach at Georgia. Word on the street that that had kind of been in the works for like 3 days or so. Kirby, you know how Kirby is. He's going to do what he does, try to get as much things from Bama as he can. So that word on the street, that had kind of been in the works. So, everybody was wondering, man, who's going to get us to DC? So fast forward to today, I'll start hearing some rumblings on Sunday that possibility that, T-Rob is hearing offers from Alabama. Come to find out, he did interview for the position of DC at Alabama. Said they interviewed for hours, and come to find out that that he still today that he still turned down the DC role at Alabama, and he's going to stay in the co-DC role at Georgia. And when you look at Georgia, they got Glenn Schumann, who's an Alabama alum. I mean, I know a lot of people say, "Oh, go after him, but I don't know if he would want to leave Alabama. I think if you get Schumann, you're looking at 1 to 2 year max regarding being a DC at Alabama. And then 2, I don't know if he's going to leave Georgia. Then 3, to me, it points out like what was really going on. Did Kirby tell T-Rob to interview to maybe generate more buzz or try to tamper with our players even more so? You never know. So you got to watch out for Kirby, Sark, those type of guys. Those guys are slick. I'm just telling you how it is in this business. It's cutthroat, especially with NIL, transfer portal. And I was shocked. I heard T-Rob wanted to be the DC, but yet he went to Georgia to be a co-DC. So a lot of that doesn't make any sense. But, I'm all about it. If you want to be for Alabama, then you'll stay at Alabama. But if you don't, it is what it is. That's your choice. I'm still Roll Tide for me all day, through the thick and thin. And I'm going to talk about adversity. Listen, I've been through so many different coaches changes. I got recruited by a coach at Alabama, signed under a new coach. That coach got fired, played under a new coach. Then that coach got fired. Then they brought in a new coach. And not one time would I change it, NIL, transfer portal, or not would I change it, because I feel like adversity shows the type of true character that you have, the type of perseverance. That's just a part of life. Life is not going to go the way that you need it to go. Sometimes you just gotta, stand true to your faith, your beliefs, and who you are as a person, and persevere. Sometimes you're gonna have storms in life. You're gonna go through tough times. Yeah, I know a lot of players at Alabama are like, "Oh man, I can go here, I can do this," but at the end of the day, it's not University of Alabama. I mean, I don't care what nobody says. You're gonna be taking a step down regardless of the situation, because it's still not the. You can tell by other fan bases. No other fan base talks about no other fan. Georgia fans talk. They don't talk about Georgia Tech. They talk about Alabama. Florida State fans talk about Alabama. Tennessee fans talk about Alabama. Auburn fans talk about Alabama. Texas fans talk about Alabama. Like, nobody cares about these other programs that are after you. It's definitely a step down, but I would not change it for anything. University is just so special to me. But yeah, you're going to deal with adversity. You just got to fight through it, grow up. That's what's going to help build your character and handle situations in life. Life goes on. It's just a part of life. We have our ups and flows and tough times, good times, but you don't run from them. You endure them and deal with it, grow within those places. So when you have tough times in the future, it makes you a better person. So that's just my 2 cents being on my little soapbox. So let's go to the section. Stephen Hicks says, new staff, new attitude, roll dang tide. Let's see. Shouts out to Van Edwards, roll tide, roll. Yeah, it's a roll tide, roll. Listen, I'm just waiting on DeBoer to call me for the DC job, Matt Caddell. I'll put a good word in for you. Appreciate it. Call me. It's all about that. Yeah. I'm just to your point, I think it's important. I think DeBoer knows that he can't make a quick hire. Bama fans probably freaking out. Can we just name somebody right now? I don't think we should risk it on. I know people were talking about South Alabama's head coach or DC. I don't think we should go that route. To me, that seems like another Pete Golden type of deal. I think what DeBoer should do is lean on Saban, talk to Coach Saban. Coach Saban is going to say, listen, I got some contacts. You look at a Mel Tucker, you look at a Carl Scott, you look at some guys around the league. I think we can build our staff and make the right hire, not the quick hire, because it's going to be a lot of changeover. Look, if Harbaugh goes to Michigan, Michigan's going to have a lot of changeover from that coaching staff. Mentor, their DC is really good. Maybe, we get him to come. Does Brian Kelly stay at LSU? Does he go to Michigan? He's more of a northern guy. So you got so many factors. Bo Davis is now the DC at LSU. Like, you got so much changeover that potentially to happen, not only with Coach Saban, but with potential of Jim Harbaugh going to the LA Chargers. So it'll be interesting to see. So I think we just got to be calm. I think DeBoer's got to manage his staff that he's got already and manage the players that he's got already and lean on Coach Saban right now and his connections and making the right decisions on the defensive end. I do like Kevin Sigler, the safeties coach that's at UTEP, I believe, that was at Jacksonville State, played at Alabama. He was the safeties coach of the year. I think that would be a phone call I would make. It's so many guys you can reach out to for positions to solidify that defense. So it's going to be interesting to see. Let's see what Stephen Hicks says. I'm just ready for all the coaching staff to settle, and then we get to work on developing players we have. Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to come in time. You just got a lot to do, man. We got a lot of time. Right now, we're just so used to being – this is new territory for Alabama fans. I mean, the older Alabama fans are familiar with it, but like the newer Alabama fans, listen, we've been in this situation before. They probably haven't been in this situation. They're not used to having to deal with coaching changeover. Coach has been same, and he handled everything. So, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I think I'm hearing some things. I think DeBoer is going to make a solid hire on the defensive end. It's going to be pretty exciting. That has recruiting ties. They're already extending offers to players. They're having a big junior day weekend, and a lot of players like Ryan Williams, I believe, Jamie Fritz are going to be in T-Town to hang out with the new staff. So, listen, I know it seems dark and gloomy now, but the sun will shine. Trust me. You just got to persevere, and make it happen. So let's stay in the student section. Y'all are rock and rolling. Let's start with new side coach. This guy has out-coached. Yeah, I mean, this guy has out-coached. I mean, one of the greatest lines I heard about DeBoer was how I think it was from an opposing coach. Maybe that was in the playoff or whoever. They said what they love about DeBoer is that DeBoer out-coached, out-schemed, and won while consistently having the lesser talented roster. So I think this guy gets it. He's hungry. He's motivated. I think he's got the it factor from a coaching perspective, knowing how to game plan, know how to handle these opponents and things like that. So I think with the leadership, mentorship of Coach Saban, he's going to build a monster at Alabama, and people are going to be like, golly, Alabama got it right. Man, we thought we had them, but they just got younger with the new coach, and now they're even more fuel. So I think it's a great hire. Let's say it. It says we got 7 months to build a new team. Listen, it's a lot of talent going in the portal. I know we lost Bond. I know Des Ricks entered the portal. I know we lost some guys to Florida State, but listen, a lot of guys from Washington. I saw their big-time center, the highest-rated center, enter the portal. We need a center at Alabama. They had a receiver, punt returner, enter the portal. top receiver out of Arizona possibly entered the port. So it's going to be a lot of things shifting. Alabama's just got to get their staff steady and ride the ship because it's all going to pay off because at the end of the day, it's still about Alabama and Roll Tide. You can't beat that nowhere else. Like that's why Kirby's trying to get Alabama players or staff because he knows Alabama is the standard. Alabama's still the standard regardless. And the standard is the standard. And I think all this change and people down these players and players going into the portal and stuff, only thing it's going to do is going to mold and create a different type of animal for Coach DeBoer and the players that stay because they're going to have such a different type of mindset, such a different type of hunger that when it comes to football season, they're going to be extremely motivated to go out there and dominate on Saturday. So I just know all this, negativity, fans bashing, all this stuff, all thing is doing is just building and fueling the fire into this Bama monster that we're about to have. I'm getting excited just talking about it. So like Stephen Hicks said, everybody talks about Alabama. Nobody talks about the other programs. Every big-time program talks about Alabama. I'd say Georgia spends more time talking about Alabama. Auburn spends more time talking about Alabama. Tennessee spends more time talking about Alabama. LSU spends more time talking to Alabama. Like, nobody cares about these other programs. All these other programs care about is Alabama. And they'll bash Alabama, but let them get a coach or a player from Alabama. They're like, yeah. So, like, which is it? I mean, you're confusing me. So it is what it is. Haters gonna hate. You must be doing something great. I say that. Trademark that. Put it on a t-shirt. Matt Caddell, Football University. That's what we do. Let's stay in the student section. This is gonna be a student section night. Shouts out to Van Edwards. He says Greg Burns was proactive. Went out, got a great coach like he did for the basketball program. I agree. I think Greg Bird is just one. I think he's the top. I think he's the top AD in the country, in my opinion. Nobody's as good as him. He's just the best there is. He knows how to do it. So I think he knows that Alabama's a special place. You're not going to get no other place like the University of Alabama. So let's say Icebox says winners talks about winning, losers talk about the winners. I agree. That's what we do. And listen, Saban's still going to be a part of the program. We got DeBoer, we got Younger, we got a coach that knows how to really work with NIL, transfer portal. He's been established. He was just in the college football playoff game on Monday, and now he's in Tuscaloosa. So kudos to Greg Byrne. He knows what he's doing. Shouts out to DeBoer because he's being a former player. You know those times when you had your back against the wall, people doubted you, and it all thing made you better. So I think we got the right guy. Shouts out to Linda P. Independent Roll Tide, everybody. Bama is for contenders, not pretenders. We don't feel like Bama's not a fit for them. Get the step, and I agree. Like, if you're not a part of Bama, like, I don't understand what T. Rob was doing. Like, that makes no sense for me. I mean, you could have been the DC defensive coordinator in Alabama, but I will say this. To counter that, I know everybody's like, oh, man, we lost T. Rob to Georgia. Yeah, he's a great recruiter, all that stuff. But do you really think Kirby's going to give him the reins of the DC role when Schumann leaves another, year or two from now? And to me, like, if you didn't want the DC role, are you not as confident in your skills or what? Or Coach Saban did say something in his interview. He said that Coach Saban, in his interview with Reese Davis, ESPN, he said, one of the things Coach Saban said, he had to spend so much time on the defensive end. And a lot of people were saying that, we had Coach Steele as DC and T. Rob supposedly calling plays, but if Coach Saban had to spend so much time on the defensive end, does that show you that T. Rob was that great or that it was lacking? So, it's some things you got to kind of read in between the lines, read the whole text. So it is what it is. You know, you just got to move on. If you're not about Bama, it's roll tide. If you don't want to be at Bama, at the end of the day, you want somebody who wants to be with you. If you want to be roll with the tide, let's roll with the tide for sure. Let's see. So RTR, shouts out to Linda P. B. George says, roll tide. Hello, everybody. Oh, man. Van Edwards taking shots at the Cowboys already. If there's any Dallas Cowboys fans, time to check on them. Social media is full of them breaking their TVs. Listen, that was a good break for me personally. You know, everybody was tuned to have the best game versus the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead, and people were kind of bashing him, but then everybody was looking at how bad the Cowboys played, and everybody forgot about Tua and the Chiefs. So Cowboys, I don't know what to say. You know, I was just waiting to see Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp kind of go crazy today on the Cowboys because it's so entertaining. I mean, the Cowboys, Dak Prescott threw 2 picks, could have easily thrown 3. The linebacker dropped it. So it is what it is. We're going to talk about the NFL later. So shouts out to the Bama fans. So let's go. I gotta keep that straight. Yeah, I hope we do get Washington Center. I think that will help us. Listen, we got a lot of talent on this roster. We still got a lot of talent on this roster. I think these guys are locked in. This is gonna make these guys super. They're gonna be like superhuman, super Bama players because they endured the storm, and the storm only makes you, or the adversity only grows you and makes you to a whole different type of beast or animal. So that's what I believe. So Bama, look out for Bama this year and future. They're gonna be on another level. Yeah. Said, imagine people complaining about a guy who has won at every level, built obvious championship level teams. So he has a fantastic record, and I love what he's done. Excuse me, a fantastic record. And I love what he gets out of the talent. I agree. I feel like he gets the most out of the talent. So now he's got the talent. Now he's going to get the most out of even these guys' talent even more. So that's why I said Alabama's going to be on a whole another level come this fall. And I think DeBoer, he's gonna kind of take it a little personally versus Kirby. Is like some things dealing with Kirby, Sark. Listen, he's gonna be motivated. I'm just saying, I don't want to give y'all too much excitement, but I'm just saying, like, he's in the lab grinding. So he's got his welcome to the SEC moment. He's gonna be ready. Let's see. B. George says, this new coaching transition has revealed how much Alabama Crimson Tide is hated is unmeasurable scale and showed us how much the rest of college football feared Coach Saban and Alabama. They still fear Alabama because they still playing on your downfall. Like, if you don't have people hating on you or always trying to knock you, then you must be doing something right. And I feel like everybody's just jealous that their program is not Alabama. Like, the standard is always going to be the standard. When it comes to college football, it's Alabama. Like, period. Like, we got DeBoer. I think DeBoer is the best hire for Alabama going after Coach Saban. He's young. He's smart. He knows football X's and O's. Like, he's had to do it with lesser talent. So just imagine when he starts getting the talent and utilizing the Alabama brand, listen, sky's the limit. Now you created an even more monster where teams are going to be like, dang it, man. I don't know why they let DeBoer go to Alabama. I wish they would have took somebody else. So it's going to be, listen, this is just motivating, adding more fuel to DeBoer and the team. So they're going to be locked and loaded. Great comment here by Lori Caddell. We don't know who won the national championship. The only news is Bama, period, point blank. It's like ever since like Michigan won the national championship, but Alabama was the story. With Coach Saban started with during the game when DC defensive coordinator Kevin Steele announced his retirement. Then a couple of days, Saban announced his retirement, and ever since then when we got DeBoer, we've still been talked about. So Alabama still takes the highlight, the headline. So Alabama is the story. Nobody's breaking news about any of these other programs. Only the reason these other programs get shot if they have some type of Alabama correlation. Like the only reason Florida State is relevant or these teams putting out these videos because rumor has it that Mike Norvell might go to Alabama, when in actuality we didn't even want Mike Norvell, and we didn't want Dabo, but Dabo put out a video at Clemson, or Sark put out a video at Sark, like at Texas. So like it's very weird. It's like the only relevancy of Florida State is like, oh, we got a Bama transfer. So your relevancy is still predicated on another school, which is the school, the University of Alabama. I'm going to leave it at that. Linda P says, slower roll time. Stephen Hicks says, dang on Skippy, you're right. Van Edwards says, imagine the run Georgia went on. They focused more on us than they did their championship. It's funny that they're trying to become us, but they're missing the key piece that they can't have, and that's Saban. That's what I'm saying. Kirby's good and all, and I'm going to give him his props, but he ain't no GOAT. Like, he ain't nowhere near as detail-oriented, focused as Coach Saban. And I think you got that in DeBoer. And I think DeBoer is one of those players, former players or coaches that is more locked in. He can really become a mad scientist, putting this thing together and making things happen. And you know, he has all these relationships with all these good coaches, maybe on offense or schemes or things. He seems like he's such a student of the game. He's going to take great schemes, concepts, plays from all different NFL, D2, D3. He's going to incorporate it into this monster at Alabama in his offense especially. So, listen, I would be – listen – DeBoer's the guy. I'm telling you, like, I think he's just ready to unload. This team's gonna be ready to unload. They had naysayers all year. They had naysayers, guys hop in the portal who said they were their brothers. Bond had some interesting takes talking about Sark's the great offensive play caller and all this stuff. And I'm like, this is just motivation for fuel for Alabama, because Alabama is going to be such a hungry animal this year. Like, you got a younger coach that really, if you look at some of his locker room takes and how energetic he gets, like, DeBoer is that guy. I'm just telling you, like, it's going to, and all this stuff, I'm quite sure he's having it in his memory bank. Oh, he's like, oh, I remember what Kirby did. Oh, I remember how T-Rob played me. Oh, I remember how Kirby tried to get these players. Oh, okay, I remember that. September 28th, it's about to go down in T-Town. Or, oh, I remember how Sark took out one of our players. Oh, yeah, I remember what they were saying about me. Oh, yeah, it's going to be a different level. So I'm excited. I'm glad, because adversity makes you so much of a better player, better coach, better person. It just does, especially in the game of football. T-Town Teresa says, exactly. Shouts out to Rhonda Burnett. Roll Tide, everybody. Let's see. Roll Tide, Bama Nation. Let's see. I'm like Stephen Hicks. I only care about my Alabama Crimson Tide and imagine how they would look when we still kick that. You know what? You know it's going to happen. And I'm thinking about, like, we still gonna put it, like, our offense has gotten that much even. Like, we actually got an offensive coordinator that's like, man, I get all these weapons, things we were hoping and praying Tommy Reese was gonna do. We ain't gotta worry about that with Grubb and DeBoer at the helm, because they're gonna be doing so many creative things offensively. To me, they got the most creative offense that I've seen. What they did with Michael Penix, that offensive scheme. I mean, they were in the national championship game just last week with lesser talent. Like, just imagine they get a defense with better talent on both ends Like, it's gonna be, ooh, it's gonna be nasty season, and we're gonna be beating teams, and they're gonna be like, "Dang, Bama, we can't get rid of Bama." Like, it's just gonna be so. It's gonna make the victory so much sweeter. Dixieland Delight's gonna be sweeter. Sweet Home Alabama's gonna be sweeter, just because we're doing it with a different coach other than Saban. So it's gonna be even that much more sweeter. Shouts out to Miss Terry. Miss Terry deserves a statue. I'm all for Miss Terry having a statue as well. She is the GOAT as well. She's the real MVP. I think today was her birthday, so shouts out to Miss Terry. Miss Terry Saban, happy birthday. And shouts out to the GOAT, Coach Saban, man. That guy has helped me in so many ways. I mean, I wouldn't be the person that I am right now. Just the life lessons that I learned from the greatest coach of all time. So, Coach Saban, if you're out there, come on Football University. We'd love to have you out here. We'll probably break the internet having Saban on Football University. Oh, man, that would be awesome. But, yeah, roll tide roll. It's all about Bama, baby. It is all about B. George says, he says the Bucks might surprise the Eagles. Now, let's talk about the Eagles. So the last 5 games, this is a crazy football season. So the last 5 games, the Philadelphia Eagles have been playing without their big-time security guard, Big Dom, because he got in a little scuffle that 49ers game. Now, he's back this game at the playoffs, so I think that's going to add the team to a little motivation. I still got the Eagles winning this game, in my opinion, but A.J. Brown, I don't know what's going on with A.J. Brown. He, unfollowed. He took down all the Eagles stuff on his Instagram, social media. He's not playing this game. He's out this game. So, to your point, it could be a surprise. You look at Baker Mayfield, Tampa Bay, Mike Evans, that defense, Antoine Winfield. They could give a lot of problems to Philadelphia. And then Philly, they might be motivated just by looking at how bad Dallas was yesterday. So they might be like, listen, we can still make a run for this team. So it's going to be interesting to see. But the Bucks might win it, but right now I might roll with Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. I think Devontae Smith's going to have a big game tonight since he's kind of like the main receiver. So it's going to be interesting to see. So let's go to the student section. Bama girls are in the building cheer for Will Legends, man. Shouts out to the Bama girls. I believe this season is going to be our biggest challenge. I think it is, but I think every season is a different challenge. You lose coaches, you lose players, you lose whatever. It's always a challenge. So I just think it's going to seem like a biggest challenge because we're just ushering in a new era. But I think it's because of all the challenges. I think it's going to pay off in the end for Alabama. That way we will make a run. Hopefully the 12-team playoff where we get to the natty and win that thing. So that's what I'm hoping for. T-Town Trisha. Sidney Reed says, I don't think we'll fall bad off. Still loaded, and DeBoer is a proven winner. Yeah, I think it's important. Bama with Saban, we had that so now all thing we got to do is win and just kind of create dang, Bama's coming in. Shoot, they got to get enough defense. It's going to be tough to beat these guys, so you got to deal with all that. So it's going to be interesting to see. They hate us because they hate us, basically. Oh, man, they hate us because the haters going to see Bama ain't going nowhere. Yeah, that's going to be the face I want to see when opposing teams look and they're like, dang, Bama's just beast. They even just that much more better. They're they become even that much better of a team. What's really going on? I just can't wait that we get that self-gratification. Like I mentioned earlier, I think the victories are going to be sweeter. Dixieland Delight is going to be sweeter. Rammer Jammer is going to be sweeter. Sweet Home Alabama is going to be sweeter. Everything's just going to be that much more sweeter because we got DeBoer, we got younger. We ain't got to worry about all these crazy nonsense that we had to deal with the past couple of years. So it's going to be interesting to see. Let's say this section. Comes to pass. But he passed. Hey, Matt. Just Saban says, hey, Matt, sorry, I've been moving the last 4 weeks. I don't know if you knew Coach Drew, but he passed. Nobody knows. So sorry to hear about anybody who passed. But yeah, whatever you're dealing with, passing, I just pray for those families and those loved ones, give them strength and all those things. But thanks for the information, Jeff Stapleton. But like I said, man, DeBoer is like, listen, one thing about elephants in Alabama, we don't forget what people say about us. And I think DeBoer is going to utilize that, and he's going to go out and just prove it. Like, this is not no Billy Napier situation. This is not a whatever you want to call it. This is a actually guy who gets it. Like, a lot of these coaches, they're riding on the model that Coach Saban did. Like, Kirby's just doing what Saban did. Sark's just doing what Saban did. Kiffin's just doing what Saban did. This guy is already – he's just going to win in his own right and just create this monster and be different fuel. And people are going to be like, this guy is really, really, really a good coach. Like, he is. So I'm telling you, he's going to add more to the fuel this year. Let's stay in the center section. Y'all are rocking and rolling. Van Edwards says, he says, Buffalo Bills beat the Steelers at Matt Caddell. Oh, that doesn't come as a surprise. I mean, I just, the Steelers, they were riding momentum, but it's hard to win in Buffalo. All that snow is cold. Bills Mafia, the snowballs, throwing snow on the field, that momentum, Josh Allen. Listen, Buffalo's going to be a tough team, and I think that playoff picture has gotten a lot more interesting. Let's see if I can pull it up. I just got to get, sorry, guys, I got to get my playoff picture. Okay, so I think Buffalo. No, where is it? Let's see how it goes. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to figure out how this playoff picture is going to work. Sorry. But anyway, I'm just trying to see who plays who. But anyway, let's get back to Alabama. So Alabama's going to be a beast while I look that up. Speaking of the NFL, let's go ahead and talk about it. Also, the Dolphins GM had a statement saying he's going to commit to Tua long term. I think that's a smart move. I know people want to bash Tua because, Tua's a nice guy. But I was hoping Tua and them were going to perform a lot better. But Miami just has so many injuries on the defensive end that I don't think they were the same team as they were at the beginning of the year. So it's going to be interesting to see. Okay, got the playoffs. So the Ravens are going to play the no, that's not how it goes. That's not how the bracket goes. Sorry. Yeah, here we go. Ravens play Houston. Speaking of Houston, Texas, let's shout out D'Amico Ryans. I was hoping D'Amico Ryans was going to be the coach. Everybody was talking about, man, possibly. But I was like, D'Amico, 1 year in, going to the playoffs. I got to shout out my brother, D'Amico Ryans. We grew up kind of in the same area in West Jefferson County. He went to Jefferson or Bessemer City High. I went to McAdory High. D'Amico Ryans, man, he's a young coach. And every Bama fan was saying, D'Amico Ryans. So happy for D'Amico Ryans. They put an absolute beat down on the Houston Texans. D'Amico Ryans, just a young, smart, intelligent, confident coach. And I think you have a lot of similarities between D'Amico being a former player and being successful and DeBoer. I think he kind of gets it. He builds a culture, a motivator. So I think it's a win-win. But D'Amico, man, he's got C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson, Christian Harris had a big play, John Mechie, Harry Totu, all those Bama guys on there. Got to shout out D'Amico Ryans. So speaking of the Houston Texans, listen, D'Amico Ryans, they got to go to Baltimore. So for the divisional round, and I think Kansas City's got to go to Buffalo. Woo, that's going to be interesting. Ooh, I think if I'm looking at it right now for the AFC, now this is just the AFC side. Whew, I think I'm going to go Baltimore. I think I'm going to go Baltimore and Kansas City. Even though the game's being played in Buffalo, I just think Kansas City, like Bama, like they started hitting their stride towards the end of the season. I think somebody mentioned earlier that Bama's going to this is going to be their most challenging season. Luckily, it's a 12 playoff race this year. And I think once we get everything ironed out and everything, we're going to be a team that nobody wants to play when it comes to the playoffs. And so, like, right now, I feel like Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City, that's one team I do not want to play. Yes, they had plenty of drops. Yes, they got the Swifties. They got Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, all that stuff. But to play Kansas City, that's one team I would not want to have to play. So I might give them the edge. But Buffalo at home, Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, Sean McDermott. I still think I'm going to go with the past Super Bowl champs. I'm going to go with Kansas City. And I think Kansas City, Baltimore, in Baltimore for the AFC Championship game. Ooh, you got Lamar Jackson, probably the MVP candidate this year because Dak is no longer the MVP candidate. Baltimore and Kansas City in Baltimore. Baltimore's deep. I think I'm going to go with the Ravens on that one. And I think on the NFC side, I think Green Bay, I think they have to go and travel to San Francisco, in my opinion. Yeah, they got to go to San Francisco. Green Bay's got to play the Detroit Lions, which is going to be interesting. So Green Bay, San Francisco, I got San Francisco winning that game. But the NFC division round is a little bit more sketchy because Detroit's sneaky. Philadelphia can get hot. So I think Detroit and Green Bay are two sneaky teams, that nobody wants to play. I would not want to have to play Detroit Lions. And shouts out to the Lions, Jahmyr Gibbs, Brian Branch. I saw a tweet the other night saying, oh, how teams who passed up on Brian Branch. And I told you Brian Branch was easily a top 10 pick in my opinion. But a lot of teams passed up on him for no reason. I'm like, this guy's a Swiss Army knife. That's why I think I should be a GM because you don't pass up on Swiss Army knives like Brian Branch. So Jahmyr Gibbs had a touchdown. Brian Branch had a big game versus the LA Rams. So Detroit's going to be a hard team to beat in these playoffs. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Do they play Green Bay or do they? I think, no, Green Bay's going to San Francisco. And I think probably the winner of the Philadelphia Eagles Tampa Bay Bucks games going to Detroit. So it's going to be interesting to see, man. I'm telling you, it could easily be Detroit, San Francisco in the NFC Championship, having to go to San Francisco. Ugh. Detroit's no joke, man. I'm telling you, they're physical on defense. But the Niners, man, the Niners so hard in the Bay Area. So shouts out to Joe Stapleton. I know he's a big Niners fan, so we get all our NFL talk. Speaking of NFL, I won't be surprised. I would be surprised if DeBoer kind of looks into some NFL guys that kind of coach under Coach Saban. You look at a Carl Scott, Mel Tucker, some guys that made the NFL jump. So it's going to be interesting to see. So I wanted to shout that out. So we talked about D'Amico. He was a Bama fan, had a good YouTube channel, Coach Dude Sports. Thanks for that update. RIP, Coach Dude. Appreciate that, Jeff Stapleton. So Stephen Hicks says we gonna stop Kirby even with him begging for our leftovers. That's what Sam, great point. Great point. Matt, the LA Chargers coach, has been fired. Derek Ansley was the secondary and DC for them and a former Bama DB coach. Your thought him as a Bama DC? I think it'll be great if he comes back as a DC. Coach Saban wanted him to be DC at Alabama. He was next in line, but he made the jump to the NFL. I think he got on with John Gruden at the the Oakland Raiders back then. So I think that would be a good job for him if he wants some stability. He gets to pick his style. He knows how to recruit. That'll be huge for our defense. He can develop the secondary. So I think Derek Ansley would be a name to watch. Good call on Sam. I'm quite sure Saban's making phone calls, things like that. So good point, Sam. Great comment, Derek Ansley. They say his obituary said Reese Peter home in Bessemer, Alabama. So Derek Ansley would be some. That's why I mentioned the NFL route might be a different route, especially with what the connections with Coach Saban, possibly Harbaugh taking because Derek Ansley, the former coach that got fired, I think his name was Brandon Staley. He took over defensive play calling duties for the Chargers, and that didn't work out. They got yarded. So I think that would be good. Also, I don't know if he's got recruiter experience, but the DC coordinator that got demoted for the Philadelphia Eagles, who I don't know why the Eagles did this, but they put Matt Patricia over him. I think his name's Sean Desai. He will be a good DC option. I think he's got some college ties. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think right now you just got to play it safe. Right now you just got to lead on Coach Saban to keep the team together. I did hear there was a pseudo team meeting tonight. I don't know what's that about. I did hear Caleb Downs looking to make a big news tomorrow. I have heard some rumors, maybe these guys jumping into the portal, but I just don't know if this is the character of those guys. Downs, he's looking at things in Alabama. I think give the coach a chance. I mean, you committed to the University of Alabama. So it's going to be interesting to see. So, but let's stay on it. So but like I said, I love the DeBoer hire. Shouts out to the GOAT, Coach Saban, Miss Terry. What do you think we need to do with Alabama? Do you think we need to name it Nick Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium? What do you think? We need to name the National Championship Trophy, call it the Nick Saban Trophy? Like what? Like, how the NFL calls the Super Bowl trophy the Lombardi? Do we call it the College Football Playoff Trophy the Saban, the Nick Saban? What do you think we could do to memorize Coach Saban? It'll be interesting to see. Do we have a recruiting award? Whoever team finishes with top recruits, do we name that the Nick Saban Award? Do we name a street after Coach Saban? I definitely think we need to put a statue of Miss Terry for sure. She deserves a statue. Do we name the football field Nick and Terry Saban Field? I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. So I'm excited. Somebody says Saban Walk of Champions. Yeah, I like that for sure. Saban Walk of Champions. Let's see. The GOAT Award. I love it. Thanks, Rhonda Barnett. Let's see. Ooh, Sam says no. Changing the Bryant-Denny Field at Nick Saban Stadium. I kind of like that. I think that's kind of unique. Excuse me. I think that's kind of unique. So what other ways can we memorialize Coach Saban, give them their justice? There's so many you can do. But yeah, I love these ideas. Come up with more ideas. That's what we do. Again, shouts out to the GOAT. And shouts out to the real GOATs, the student section. Lori Caddell, Jeff Stapleton, Rhonda Burnett, T-Town Trisha, Linda P., Cindy Reed, Jeff Stapleton, Stephen Hicks, Van Edwards, Sam, B. George. The list goes on and on. You guys are the real MVP. Listen, we're going to stick together. We're going to come together. We're going to make this thing happen. And Alabama's still going to be Alabama, and the tide is going to roll. But in the meantime, in between time, roll tide. See you next week here at Football University on the CTS Sports Room. RTR, we got this. Enjoy your week of football. We're going to discuss all these great football festivities and the future of Alabama football come next week. Same channel, same time. Have a great week.